So I am, of course, going to say this on both shows today, because no matter how many times you do say things, people just don't listen. You should have listened to your mother when you were a child. But yes, even though we are about to up those downs for SmackDown, either before this or after this, we will also up those downs for AEW Rampage, because if wrestling is going to come up with more shows, I'm going to take my finger of power and I will review it until the day I die. That's right, I'll be a 75-year-old man going, I didn't really like that, and I'm giving it a down. It's going to be great. But my name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for joining me, and we are on the road to SummerSlam, or back in 1998, we were on the highway to hell, and I tell you, this show was always about two people, John Cena and Roman Reigns, and they smacked it out the park. But was the rest of the show good, or did it suck? I was going to say balls, but I want to say that. I think it's really rude. Let's just up those downs. What a brilliant night for wrestling, because SmackDown did indeed start with John Cena versus Roman Reigns, and earlier in the day there had been some rumours that WWE was going to turn the heat up on this pressure cooker, and my word, this was like boiling your socks off. Clearly they were told to just go out there and say things that maybe they shouldn't have been saying, and unlike 2017 when John Cena just rolled over Roman Reigns, because this is our brand new tribal chief, he just took it and he was firing back, I was very sports entertained. It began with Cena marking Roman Reigns, and yes, you heard that correctly, and he gave him a D for disappointment and an F for failure. Now I think Johnny Boy was referencing the fact that he's going to give him an F at SummerSlam and make of that what you will, but what really matters is that Roman's parents are going to be livid. He also made sure to make it clear that he knows that hell is coming his way come SummerSlam because Roman's going to beat him up, and at that very moment out came the head of the table and out came Paul Heyman. Cena then went right in on him going, man, WWE protects you, they protected you for the last 10 years, but you keep dropping the ball. But Roman's facial expressions were so good here, he was like, man, I don't care what you say about me. I respect you, John, I think you're great, which is why it's going to be an awesome day for me when we get to the pay-per-view and I beat your ass. Cena then started to make fun of the Superman punch, which did make me laugh a little bit, and took some shots at Paul Heyman, but Roman then took all of this and sent it up to the next level because he started talking about the whole missionary position again. And he said to John, while that sexual endeavour may have been good for you for all those years, I tell you who it wasn't good for. Nikki Bella. You can just imagine the crowd reaction. I was all on my sofa going, tee-hee-hee-hee. I don't think he was meant to say it. I love when we do this stuff. Roman also promised to send John back to Hollywood. I was a bit like, well, that's not the worst threat in the world. It sounds like a very nice life. And who the hell wouldn't want to do that when it was John Cena's turn to all of a sudden hit the kapow button? Because he said, let's not forget, Mr. Reigns, not only did you ruin the career of Seth Rollins, but you did the same to Dean Ambrose, and you even chased him out of the WWE. I mean, I swear I was just falling over. I think I actually stood up and shouted, taboo, taboo, because I am a very strange individual. And then John carried this on because he insulted Roman Reigns' teeth. I had water coming out of my eyes. This was just so over the top and ridiculous, and I could watch it all day long. I even think Cena ended it with a CM Punk reference, because he was all like, I'm going to beat you for the Universal title, and I'm going to leave via the crowd, and I may even give you a kiss goodbye. So if you enjoy all these insider references, you must have been on a roller coaster ride during this, and I know that you were because I was doing it too. So this was just brilliant. It was brilliant. It was two top super duper stars making you feel like their main event match at the big pay-per-view is worth your time and worth your money, which is exactly what we needed to do like a week or 2 weeks out, whatever the hell it is. So just a big old round of applause, John Cena and Roman Reigns. And then Shinsuke Nakamura beat Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title. I mean, what is happening? Now, I do have to say the setup for this was awful, because a week ago, General Aziz caused the disqualification in the #1 contender match, which means we didn't get a winner, but that counted for nothing, because 7 days later, Shinsuke Nakamura is having an Intercontinental title match. I mean, try and work that one out. It's like 2 + 2 = potato. I mean, why even bother doing it? Why even bother? But luckily, Shinsuke Nakamura and Apollo Crews are so good at what they do. I had a rollicking good time, and it's getting it up. Of course, Aziz was going after distractions again, because this is a match in WWE, but Rick Boogs was also out here, and he had a great way to counter this. He got on the apron, ding ding ding, and he just started playing the guitar. But the referee looked at him and said, bro, bro, I can see what you're doing. You really shouldn't be. I'm sorry, you gotta go to the back. The thing is though, seconds after this, Aziz tried to be a dick again, and the official spied him, so he too was sent away, which means we now just had Apollo Crews, and we now just had Nakamura, and whatever was gonna go down, they were likely going to have a clean finish, and this made me very excited deep down in my Tootsie Toes, because again, it's WWE, and when the hell do they ever do this? I mean, Crews did try and steal the pin by putting his feet on the ropes, but the referee even spied that, so that guy needs a promotion. And then yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura fought back, he slammed him with the Sasha. I still didn't believe he was going to get the 1, 2, 3. He did. The crowd went nuts. I was very pleased as well. I mean, who doesn't like Shinsuke Nakamura, the brand new Intercontinental champ? We also made a huge deal out of this because Rick Boogs was back and he was playing the guitar, and even Pat McAfee on commentary was like, oh man, I'm the happiest man alive. So this really did feel kind of special. But now, of course, we have to ensure that we do something with the Intercontinental Championship, because let's just turn our attention to Apollo Crews. This isn't his fault at all, but he basically fought Big E around about 78 times and then didn't do anything else. He didn't even get an entrance on SmackDown, and that makes me raise my eyebrow. So really, when you do summarize all of that, we didn't treat Apollo in the way that he should have been treated. That's when we go back to the finger of power, and I'm giving it a down. We zoom to the back after this, where the Street Profits were talking about how much the Alpha Academy has been beating them up over the last few weeks, but it's okay, because they're about to go out to the ring and get their revenge. And then we did have this match, and even though it didn't go very long, for some reason, I enjoyed it. So I don't know what that says about me, but amazingly, I'm giving it an up. I think the main reason for this comes down to all four guys, because they weren't given a lot of time, so they must have decided, well, let's just go at 720 miles per hour. And Montez Ford especially did this crazy dive over the top rope and basically murdered Otis on the outside. I genuinely couldn't believe it. There was this really dumb bit when Otis went to give Chad Gable a high five, as if to go, yeah man, we're doing it, we're winning. And the ref went, well, now that has to count as an official tag. And why the hell did they get upset about this? They could have just tagged back in, but it sucked to be them. Dawkins knocked Otis off the apron. That's when Montez did that crazy flippy thing. And then he basically just hit Chad Gable with a neck breaker and he pinned him. And I do admit that was very anticlimactic. I would have come up with something better. But again, these guys did what they had to do to make sure I was engaged. I do think they should have been given a few more minutes, and I cannot understand why WWE doesn't see what they have in Chad Gable. But I've got two words that will sum that up. Shorty G. Remember him, the walking biscuit? They just totally don't get it. Seth Rollins then made me laugh. Up. It began in the production truck where Seth was just yelling at everybody because he is a crazy cat before he came out to the ringside area dressed like your nan before she goes on her Sunday walk. She then disappointed the crowd by saying that Edge wasn't here tonight, but also going, you know what? Edge called me Edge Light, and even if I am Edge Light, I'm still better than Edge. And I have been thinking about that sentence all morning, and no, it doesn't make any sense. He did have this really good video that compared their careers though. The highlight for me was when it went, man, Seth Rollins, what an absolute warrior. He was in the Shield, whereas Edge, he began in a crappy group known as The Brood. And I was like, come on, Rollins, you know this isn't true. The Brood were brilliant, especially that entrance music when they came up through the flames, and the music, it was all just like, melodic breathing. It's a classic. Rollins also mentioned that the fans should love him because he didn't kill the rated R superstar in 2014, but given that they are gonna fight again at SummerSlam, he's gonna finish the job. So Seth is just an absolute psychopath, and I actually think this feud with Edge has like lit a fire underneath him. There's just something so much more appealing about this character now, or his character work is so much better, so I am fine with all of this. So really, he's just doing good work, as is Daddy Mysterio. Because Ray was administering his son again, saying, look, you are too confident going into our tag team title match with the Usos. You need to calm down a bit, and given that we have a match in a second, make sure you remember everything that I taught you. Now then, we were stuck in a time loop because it was the Mysterios taking on Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler that I think we've seen 198 times over the last 2 weeks alone. But Dominic did listen to his dad, and this ended in a way that WWE matches never end. Look at my pocket, I'm giving it an up. This also needed more fuel, but at least we had some story here, because I can only assume that at one point during the week, Ray had sat down with Dom and said, do not be distracted, do not be distracted, do not be distracted. Wrestlers in this day and age are getting distracted all the time, and I won't have any boy of mine doing the same. So when the Usos popped up on the big screen and were basically jumping around going, oh, distraction, distraction, was Dominic distracted? I mean, he kind of was, but did he lose the match because of it? No. Because as Bobby Roode tried to take advantage of this, Ray pushed his son out of the way, and that allowed Dominic to hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and he got the 1, 2, 3. So there was a distraction, but nobody was pinned due to the distraction. I think I was having kittens. I don't know what that saying means, but it sounds good. This made me happy though the child is learning and proved that a wrestler can focus on the wrestling match. I mean, what a concept that is. I also think the Usos versus the Mysterios at SummerSlam will be very good. Thumbs. Baron Corbin was out next, and I'm not gonna lie, these days, he just gets an instant up. He entertains me. Somehow Michael Cole knew that this was going to be the last time he was going to ask the fans for money. And then, yeah, Baron got in the ring and said, hey, this is the last time I'm going to ask you for money. So that didn't make any sense. But what was far better than this was he was like, look, because it is the last time I'm going to ask you, I've got a card raider here. Let's go around every single person in the crowd. And there's, what, 8,000 people there. And I've got a card scanner. You can all give me $1,000. $1,000, this guy's a loon. This got even better when Kevin Owens interrupted, and without missing a beat, Baron just went, oh man, I'm so happy you're here, but I'm not sure whether the scanner accepts Canadian credit cards. That's it, give this man some kind of award. And of course, Kevin was having none of this and said, you can't keep asking people for money. I mean, look at your track record recently. You, my friend, are a massive waste of space. Which he kind of is. WWE then went WWE, and we know about this because Kevin said, hey, I've got a proposition for you. I will give you the money, but you've got to earn it by beating me in a match. But if I beat you, you can never ask the fans for money again. I was like, Baron Corbin just said this. What the hell is going on? I swear sometimes WWE doesn't talk to WWE, and what a sentence that is. But look, they had the match. Baron kept trying to cheat, but he failed. For some reason, he lost because of the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. Why Kevin Owens couldn't hit with the stunner and get the 1, 2, 3, I don't know. But he did hit with the stunner afterwards. The fans loved all of it. I won't lie, so did I. I assumed at one point maybe Baron Corbin was going to learn from this and become friends with Kevin Owens, and we could even do a tag team. But in around about 8 seconds, somehow this gets even better. Because at first we saw Bianca Belair and Big E backstage, and honestly, we should team these two up more together because they just have so much good power between them. When Michael Cole said, oh, there's Big E, Mr. Money in the Bank, and he can cash his briefcase in on anyone other than Bianca Belair. I was like, great, thanks Mike, I was thinking the opposite. I was then dying because Kayla Braxton was interviewing Baron Corbin and saying, Baron, what are you gonna do? And he saw Big E in the briefcase and he ran, grabbed it and legged it out of the arena. So Corbin now probably thinks he is Mr. Money in the Bank. None of this adds up. Do not try and justify it in your head. It's just so much fun, and I'm here for every second of it. It was back to the WWE well after this though, because we were having a contract signing, and I was like, what happens to the other contracts that we never see signed? I honestly think the WWE could leave these forever. However, it was between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, and these two are just really good at their roles. Bianca mentioned that if Sasha had wanted a title shot, she could have just asked her as opposed to beating her up. And Sasha was like, I'm never going to ask you anything again because you scarred me at WrestleMania with your hair. And instantly Sonya Deville, that was watching over proceedings, could see where this was going. Was like, let's all calm down. We don't need a fight. Why don't we just sign the contract? I then did do a little bit of a sigh because Sasha was like, well, I need some witnesses. And out came Carmella and Selena Vega, fresh off the Street Fighter tournament. But it was actually then kind of presented like this may be Sasha Banks' new group. And I am all for Sasha Banks being the leader of a new group. In fact, they look pretty damn good together. It was pretty damn awesome as well because they tried to attack Bianca Belair, but she's such a damn good babyface, she fought them off for ages, and my word, she came across like a warrior, and she would have gotten away if it wasn't for these meddling kids too, because Sasha Banks snuck up behind her and hit the backstabber once again. The signing table was then being thrown all over the place because that poor thing is always being beaten up, and it meant SmackDown went off air with Sasha Banks grabbing Bianca Belair's ponytail and applying the Banks statement. She then held the title off like, haha, I'm gonna be the champion. And also WWE, you now have all the B-roll you need for our SummerSlam video. Like I say, this was a really good angle and a really good way to end the show. It also did exactly what it was meant to do because now I'm excited about SummerSlam. I think Cena versus Roman Reigns is gonna rock. I think Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair is going to rock. There's a bunch of other stuff that's been going on, like Edge versus Seth Rollins, which is kind of like a dream match. I like SmackDown, I just do. I find it a very easy watch, and that's why I'm giving it an up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's SmackDown. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head on over to WhatCulture.com to start with all the wrestling news and flub me sideways. There's loads of it. Make sure you come follow us on social media. And yes, there's other ups and downs videos. We've talked about it already. Give them a click. My name's Seth for WhatCulture. Thank you for watching me as always, and I will see you next week.